Hello, beautiful people. This is Freedom Fighter. Thank you for tuning into our channel, Goldilocks Global Banking News. Everybody knows that Goldilocks is the number one source for the RVGCR. People from around the world tune in to see what Goldilocks is sharing on the RVGCR. Don't miss your chance and get your latest updates every day. So like, share, and subscribe to this channel to get your daily podcast from the Goldilocks articles on the RVGCR. Brought to you by Freedom Fighter.
All right, beautiful people. Hey, folks, this is Saturday Night Dialogues. It is June the 7th, 2025. It has been a very, very jam-packed week with information that is related to the RV. Goldilocks has been dropping every day so many nuggets, and every day so many more members that are sharing their updates, the relationships that they've been able to establish with their bankers, so forth and so on. We're gonna get into all that tonight. But let's get into some prayer and get rocking and rolling. Father God, we thank you as always. We give you thanks. None of this is possible without you. Our lives are not possible without you. That is first and foremost before the financial rewards that and the blessing that we know that is forthcoming. We just thank you for allowing us to be here to participate in it. We ask that you allow us, anyone that is participating tonight on the call, to be able to provide their information and their stories. And we ask for it to, even if it is just one person that our members reach tonight, to help them to get prepared and to be prepared for this blessing that you are bringing forth to us. We ask that let this be the night. Let this be the recording that someone somewhere in the world who doesn't realize that the information maybe they've gotten so far isn't correct, isn't in their best interest. We ask that this be the night that the message gets to those folks. We ask that you cover us all. In your precious name we pray. Amen. All right. Real quick, get into some quick announcements. We have, of course, Goldilocks QFS Dialogues Room, whereby that is where, folks, you may know, that is where everyone comes to get the breakdowns of Goldilocks' articles. That is where people are able to come in the Goldilocks QFS Dialogues Room to get the help needed to establish relationships with their bankers. This is where we have the 8 steps. This is where we have Wiley's questions that are there for us for you to be prepared to establish your relationships. Also, the QFS Dialogues Room is where we have a lot of fun and show a lot of love. It's a beautiful community. It's free. Doesn't cost you anything. If you want to get prepared, like you're going to hear from folks tonight, how they've done it, this is where you come, the Goldilocks QFS Dialogues Room. For all of the members that you hear every Saturday, from all the members that you see their updates every day, it's right in the Goldilocks QFS Dialogues Room. And then we have D's room, where D drops articles every day as well related to the global financial landscape. And of course, inclusive of what's happening in the world of the RV. Then we have the Crypto Finance Newsroom, where Dave Big Dog drops articles on a daily basis related to crypto. If you have anything related to crypto, questions, concerns that you may have, that is the room for that. Then we have Goldilocks Global Banking News, whereby it is your daily podcast for all of the Goldilocks daily updates on the RV. You do not, if you have not subscribed or put your notifications on yet on the YouTube channel, Goldilocks Global Banking News, we highly encourage you to do that. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss, and you put your notifications on so you don't miss any of the daily updates. All right. For those of you may already know, we're at 1.4, getting close to 1.5 million views on the Goldilocks Global Banking News podcast. All right. And we are going to get into, we have two beautiful folks tonight that are going to be sharing their updates. We have Pistol's mom and then Mike N. All right, we have Pistol's mom and then Mike N. And whew, folks, you don't want to miss next Saturday as well. We have RO that's going to bring forth her update next Saturday, and then we'll have someone else that will get locked in for next Saturday as well. We're going to go to Pistol's mom first. I just love your name, Pistol's mom, and then we'll get to Mike N. Pistol's mom. If you can unmute, my good lady.
I think I'm. Oh, am I there?
There you are now.
Okay. Cool.
Let me tell
Hello,
you
freedom
something.
fighter.
How you doing, my beautiful lady? Let me tell you something. I first want to thank you. I want to thank you for stepping up and being such an amazing leader in the room. You joined the room not too long ago, if I recall, and then you started with the 8 steps. You got rocking and rolling, and then we asked for folks to step up, and actually you kind of did before we even asked, and you just been such a great leader and inspiration in the room to new people. And we just wanted to thank you for being such a great leader. And we appreciate you, beloved.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
And I see so many people that I chat with all the time. And it's so good to see you on here tonight. Today was one of those days where I wasn't sure that my brain was still in my head, They started off.
Well,
But I went
thank
to,
goodness.
I went and had lunch with my private wealth manager today. And
That's right. At 12 o'clock, I think it was.
11:30.
11:30. Okay.
And
Okay. Mm-hmm.
we were there till 2:30.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
And I had invited my friend, and so she got to meet him. And today was a lot about establishing a personal relationship. Good. And going deeper into what their companies strive for. And I found out that they are more for protecting your assets. They are more for people that have already made their money and now they're wanting to protect it. So, and how they did that. And so that was eye-opening. And so I'm thinking, okay, this is why everybody's saying diversify, because I had a meeting with a tier 1 bank, and I had like 5 people in that Zoom meeting with me. And questions that I was asking him about the way, like if you bought property, was there a way through their system that you could finance the asset through there? And he kind of hemmed and hawed. I thought, okay, this is why I need a tier 1 bank, because they covered that. They told me how it would work. So I think that's why if you're new, you need more than just one or the other. I think you need both to accomplish goals. And let's see, what else did we cover? A lot of it was getting to know him. He's a very interesting person. He's relatively young, but he's the co-founder of this company. His family has been in investments for like 31 years.
Okay.
And so they have a family history of it.
Okay.
And so it was interesting to see more of him personally
Hmm.
and to get to know him and for him to know me because we'd never seen each other. It was a
You've only
blind meeting.
okay. You spoke on the phone with him
Yes,
before.
two different times. Yes.
Okay.
I had well, no, I had one meeting with him, and then I had another meeting with another person that's I think it was probably one of the original founders of the company. And I think
Okay.
he's a co-founder of it. Yeah.
What
And
I
then I
would
had
like,
spoken
what I,
on the phone
what
with
I
him again, and this was like first personal meeting.
got it. This is what I would like for you to do, because this would be very, very helpful to people listening who aren't aware how you got to this point to even meet him. If you can sort of go back to what did you do, step one, to even reach out to this gentleman at this private wealth management firm, kind of take us there, because people listening now are only hearing about this amazing meeting you had and got to know him personally for 3 hours for lunch. But how did you get here? If you can educate people how you got here, if you can do that, what
When
did you
I
do?
first Okay, when I first came into the room, I was bouncing around like a ping pong ball.
You
And
were.
you Wiley said, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, whoa!" And I said, "Okay, okay, I'm gonna sit and listen."
Hmm.
And so I listened, and when you and Wiley were going, what are you gonna say when they ask you about currency? And I thought, I mean, I was dead silent, and I was thinking, okay, if I can handle these guys, I can handle the wealth management.
That's right. We're training ground. We're training ground for these wealth
Yeah,
managers. Uh
yeah.
huh.
And I thought, if I can handle this, if I can do this, because these guys are tough, they're giving me tough love right now, but that's exactly
Hmm.
what I need.
Hmm.
So after that, I followed the 8 steps.
Hmm.
I I had my program down. I had Wally's questions,
Hmm.
and I Googled wealth managers
Hmm.
in my area. I didn't want to drive in a big city.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I thought, okay, this guy he's about 2 hours from me,
Hmm.
but he's in the area. He understands it's a smaller town. And I
Hmm.
thought he will probably jive with what I'm trying to do
Hmm.
and what I'm wanting to do better than
Hmm.
somebody in, say, in a larger city.
Hmm.
Um, because y'all know I'm a country girl. Okay.
Right.
Know, and
Blue jeans, and cowboy boots.
that's right. And I had my ostrich
Hmm.
boots on today. Yes, I did. So, um, so I Googled him, and
Hmm.
I researched their company, and then I called the receptionist and I set up just a telephone conference with him.
Hmm.
And we had that first telephone conference, and I asked him questions, and um, I liked what I heard.
Hmm.
And so then he set up the second meeting with himself and the other man.
Okay.
And so that was a good question. And then I had some questions that I wanted to ask him, so I called him again.
Okay.
And I mean, it's like boom, boom, boom. If I call within 5 minutes, more than likely he's going to be calling me back. I mean,
Hmm.
and so that is I like that kind. I know if I had a question that I was going to
Hmm.
get a return call, it wasn't
Right.
going to put off days. It was going to be that day, that
Gotcha.
he would call me back.
Gotcha. Okay.
And so then, I think it was on the third call that I'd had with him. And I said, "Do you want to meet for lunch?" And he said, "Yeah, I'd like that."
Hmm. Hmm.
So that's how I set it up.
Okay.
It was a cold call, you know,
Hmm.
um, research your area because I'm in a very rural area,
Hmm.
and any wealth manager is going to be from 40 to 80 to 100 miles away.
Hmm.
So it was just a matter of researching what's in your area. Um, if you're in the city, I think it's probably easier because there are no tier one banks in my area. They're 40 miles away
Hmm.
to a tier one bank.
How did you refresh my memory? How did you connect to a tier one bank initially? Was it via Zoom, a phone call?
It was a phone call.
Okay, got it. Okay, and this is where you're
No, no, no.
talking about.
I take that back.
Mhm.
I set up my account online.
That's right. That's right. You did. You did. You
Okay.
did. You did. That's right.
I
I
set up
remember.
my account online.
Because
And
I
then
remember you initially was saying how it was an issue being that you were in a rural area, and we told you in the room that you can open an account online,
on
and you
yeah,
did. Yep, I
and I
remember now.
did.
Hmm.
Okay. And then I put an email request
Hmm.
to the wealth manager,
Hmm.
the tier one wealth manager. And
Hmm.
she called me back and set up a meeting.
Hmm.
And I talked to her that day, and then she
Hmm.
scheduled the Zoom call meeting with
Hmm.
with her team.
Hmm. Hmm. And now, if you were refresh my memory and let everyone know, I'm not sure if you recall, but when she set up this meeting with the team, what were the titles of some of those people? Do you recall?
There was a man that was in trust,
Okay.
and he could serve as a trustee for your trust. He
Okay.
could, like, if you wanted to designate a trustee, he would be the one that would be handling that.
Got it.
Then
Okay.
there was the investment banker. There was
Mm.
her that was like your private, your contact person for your team.
Mm-hmm.
Then there was a guy that was a CPA, but he was
Okay.
also had been a lawyer for 20 years. One
Wow.
person
Okay.
that did that. Okay. So
Uh-huh.
he would be the one that would be handling your financial stuff.
Yep.
Um, I know there was 5 people on that call, and I can't remember what the other guy was. He was very quiet during the meeting. He
That's
didn't
okay.
contribute too much,
That's okay.
but
Because I wanted you to to share that because so people can see the how in depth that meeting was, where you have someone who from tier one who handles your trust, the investment banker who will handle the wealth strategy for you after you exchange, and then the CPA slash was a lawyer for 20 years who will handle your
fine.
taxes.
Right.
Right. So boom, I like that. Now let's go to the private wealth manager. This 3 hour lunch that you had with him, you were able to. That's amazing. You guys talked about a lot, and that's a pretty good amount of time to get to know someone on a personal level. Folks, just think that you ever gone on a date for 3 hours. When you go to the movies, you go to lunch, or you go to dinner. It could be 3 hours, and you don't even get to know that person. But you go to a 3 hour luncheon with a wealth manager. This is related to your strategies for your generational wealth for your exchange. That's a good amount of time to get to know someone on a personal level, and you'll continue to get to know them even more.
Right. I found out that he has 2 children. He's got a golden retriever,
Mm-hmm.
and he was at one point he was in the Merchant Marines, and he's a mechanical
Mm.
engineer. I mean, he's a fascinating person to talk
Mm-hmm.
to.
Mm-hmm.
And then my friend was there, and so she was getting to know him also. And
Okay.
she looked
And
at him and
she.
she said, "I'm here to look after her. She will be my number one interest here."
Mm-hmm.
She just looked
Mm-hmm.
him dead in the eye and said, "I'm here for her.
I like
I'm
that.
here to make sure
Mm-hmm.
of what she's planning and what she's getting into."
And she has currency
And
as well.
um, she's my adopted daughter. Yeah,
Gotcha. Okay.
well,
Okay.
she's the daughter of my heart. Okay, because
Mm-hmm.
she's lost her mom and dad, and
Mm-hmm.
I've lost my only son, and it's like we've known each other since 2018, and it was
Gotcha.
just like she said, "You're moving in with me. I don't care if we've got a little house or whatever, but you're going to have a room in my house."
Let me ask you this question. I love that. What is one of the biggest takeaways from this meeting with this wealth manager?
The biggest takeaway that I have is, even though it may feel like a disappointment, there is always something good that comes out of a meeting,
Mm-hmm.
because you gain more knowledge of what that firm can do for you,
Mm-hmm.
and you see places where you're going to have to fill in holes. And you
Right.
realize that you
Right.
have to diversify. You have
Right.
to.
So do you feel as if now, especially after having this meeting, and speaking of diversifying, now that you've had your meetings with your tier one bank and that wealth management team, now that you've had this meeting with this private wealth management firm, and of course you're going to continue to build on both of those relationships,
Right.
do you feel as if now that you are more prepared for your exchange and after your exchange than you were before?
I don't feel I'm not where I want to be as far as being prepared for my exchange, but
Do you feel as if you are more prepared now than you were before?
yes, yes,
That's what I wanted to know. That's what I wanted to know. Not where you're not where you are going, but at where you're at right now in this present moment. If
yes.
you are further ahead than you were when you didn't have these relationships with the private
Oh,
wealth manager or the tier one bank.
oh, it's like night and day, Freedom.
Right.
I mean, it's night and day. It's like
Mm-hmm.
I can see a path forward.
Gotcha.
Before I was waiting for somebody to give me a call, give me a number. You know,
Mm-hmm.
the
Mm-hmm.
guru foo foo. Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Now, speaking of that, you were waiting for calls or some sort of notification, email notification. Let me ask you this. I think I know the answer. Have from these wealth managers, the bankers, the tier one bank and or the private wealth manager, have you ever received an email from them for anything?
yes.
Whether got it. Was that a capital YES?
Capital, yes, that was phone calls and emails, and
So from the actual bankers.
yes, yes,
So
of
when
them.
as you both of them. So as you continue to build on these relationships, when it is time to exchange your currency, you already at this point have relationships with the actual people, the bankers that will either facilitate your exchange and or grow your wealth after you exchange. Right or wrong?
Yes, yes,
Got it.
definitely.
That's what I wanted to know. Beautiful. We Peculiar Ram is here. Peculiar Ram is going to fill in. Peculiar Ram, you want to chime in here with the beautiful Pistols mom?
Hi, Pistols Mom. How are you?
Hello, I'm good.
Hey,
How are
girl.
you?
I'm good. I just want to say congratulations. And you look how much ground you've covered so far. And I know you
Mhm.
say you're not where you want to be, but look how much you've already accomplished. Like you're
Yes,
Yes.
locked in. You're locked in. And that's the important part. I mean, we
Mhm.
have so much, we all have so much more room to grow even after this blessing, but you are killing it. You're killing
thank
it.
you,
Yes. Yes.
thank you.
You're
Yes.
welcome.
And you know what I see with you, Pistols mom, is what I see with like several other members, whether it's Brunette Grand or Glass Half Full or anyone else, so many, where they've gotten to a point where they're like, you know what? I got two wealth managers. I got a tier one bank. Let me go get me another one. Let me get another one.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I was thinking. I thought, okay, I need a wealth manager that not only wants to preserve my wealth, but I need one that wants to grow it too. So, I mean, that was what I was thinking. I thought, okay, the search is
Uh-huh.
on. You know,
You're right. So now what seemed so difficult and challenging before you got started, now it's pretty easy to you now, isn't it?
yes, yes. I know the
Awesome.
questions to ask. I
Right.
know, I know that I think you have to get the mindset because I know most of us have not had money.
Hmm.
And, you know, usually when you go into a bank to get a loan, it's like you're the underdog.
Right.
And what you have to realize is that these people will want your business
Hmm.
and that you have to step up into being a leader of your own destiny.
That's right. That's
That
it.
part, yes,
That's
yes.
it.
If you cannot step up and take the leadership role in your own destiny,
Hmm.
then you are the problem, not them, you are.
That's
And
right.
you have to change your mindset to get to
Hmm.
where you own your destiny and the decisions that you make concerning this God-given gift that's been put in your hands.
That's right. I love that. I love that.
Absolutely. And
I
and
love
and
it.
and for those sitting on the fence, tell them, Pistols Mom, it's going to end up biting them in the arse later.
Yes, it
Mm-hmm.
will. Even look at it this way. Even if even if you crash and burn, you will learn something from the crash and burn.
That's
You
right.
will think,
Absolutely.
I could have done this differently. I could have phrased this differently.
Mm-hmm.
I could have asked my questions clearer to where they understood where I was coming from. But I think
Mm-hmm.
the one thing that you have to have in your mind and know are your goals,
That's
where
it.
you want to go.
That's it.
And don't make the call before you've got those goals set down first.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Before
Mm-hmm.
before you pick up the phone or before you send an email, you
Mm-hmm.
establish your goals and how you want to get there. But always be willing to listen because they're in the business of making your goals work.
That's it.
And they have more knowledge in how to get to those goals than you do. And be
Yep.
That's it.
open and listen to what they have to say.
I love it. I love it. You just took the words right out of my mouth. What I was going to say. I don't have to say it. Just perfect. 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 Your
Yep.
goals, folks. What she just said to you is your goals, and with the questions. While these questions, you can tailor them towards your goals. So, and what she said is absolutely right. Their job is to help you achieve your goals. What your goals is you may have a goal of related to certain projects that you may want, humanitarian projects. I'm not talking about those funky foo-foo projects that you were told about that you were going to be a trillionaire from. What you're putting, I'm not talking that. That's, get that out of your mind. I'm talking about real projects that you may want to do within your communities that are from these currencies and assets that are real. These wealth managers, if you, let's say, for example, just Pistols Mom, what's a project that you have? I mean, use that as an example.
The I That's interesting because I can tell you one of the things I wanted to do was foster kids that are
I think we lost you, Pistols Mom.
am I still there?
There you go. You're back.
Okay.
Mhm.
Uh you've got 18-year-olds that are aging out of a system.
Mhm.
An 18-year-old is not equipped to face the world. Let's
Mhm.
face it. They're not. You know, and I mentioned it to the private banker that
Okay.
was one of the things that I wanted to do, and she
Mhm.
said, "Oh, we already contribute to a program just like that." They a lot of times
Mm.
the things that you have as say like a charitable deal, they
Mhm.
already have the
That's
connections to
true.
hook you up in that right there.
Mhm.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Exactly. And on that, and from that, folks listening to this, what she's talking about is these wealth managers, they already have, most of the time, they already have other clients that are wealthy clients, millionaires, some billionaires, just like some of you will be. Therefore, there will be no need to reinvent the wheel. They have the resources and also the relationships to connect you. But let's say, for example, if you want to take your project and you want to make money from let's say if it's a project and whereby you want to grow your wealth from it, whatever that goal is, you tell them that, and that their job is to help you to achieve that goal. Whether it is a charitable organization and you want to give money away for tax purposes, or if you want to have a bit, or if you want to, let's say, I'm gonna use this example. Let's say if you want to make from your exchange, you want to have $500,000 deposited into your bank account every single month from your exchange. Their job is to make sure that if it's within their realm, to find out where to put your money to make you $500,000 a month for the rest of your life, however long. That is their responsibility. But if you don't go in with goals, if you go in with, oh, I want a Bentley, oh, I want me a Rolls Royce, oh, so forth and so on, Now, there's nothing wrong with that, but it's how you go about doing it. But if you got to realize these wealth managers, they're there to make you money, not to spend money.
Right.
So if you're going and talking about all these different expenses, they're going to look, because you got to realize it's an invested interest for them to make you money. They make money.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
But if you're in there just talking about where you want to throw your money away to all these different things, it's not related to goals. They're going to look at you and think, this is someone that we can't make money with, and we can't educate them and teach them long term. But here comes Pistol's mom, where she has plans for real humanitarian projects. And she may have something related to making money. They're going to plug her in and take her money and make her money. She may exchange. I'm just throwing out a number. It may be 25 million, but this wealth management firm will take that 25 million and make another 25 million on top of it.
Right. Right.
All right. Thank you, Pistol's mom, for sharing your amazing story, my beautiful lady. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. And,
powerful.
Amazing. Congratulations again.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right, beautiful. Thank you. Go
okay.
ahead.
Nope, I'm
All
done
right.
for the night. Let's go
All
on,
right.
Mike. Yeah, because I know that's going to be a killer story coming up behind
Yes.
you.
Yeah, right. Yes,
Drum
indeed.
roll. We need a drum roll for him.
No, Sniper, come to the mic.
Yeah.
Sniper. This is the Sniper. Mike in. Come on.
Mike.
What's going on, guys? Good evening.
Good evening. How you doing, sir?
Good. How about yourself, my man?
Good, man. Like Pistol's mom, she had her lunch with her private wealth man, her bankers, folks listening. You want to talk about boots on the ground? Her boots on the ground was 3 hours in a restaurant with the real boots on the ground. And Mike, you got your boots on the grounds too.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I just met with the new private wealth manager. This is the second meeting, actually. The first meeting we did in the beginning of May. So, that olive branch that I was shaking, from the gentleman that was senior treasury advisor for the Tier 1 bank. He ended up passing me to another gentleman as well. Now, I still have one set up with the young lady that is only accepting 6 clients, but this gentleman here is part of a top 5 independent brokerage company.
Pause. Folks, did you hear what he just said? Hold that thought. Top 5 tier brokerage company. There was a lady private wealth manager that is only taking how many she's only taking how many clients under her?
She's only taking 6.
And she already has those 6, right?
Correct.
Folks, you listening to this? This is why if you're going to be dragging your feet thinking you're going to wait for a notification and you go to exchange, you'll be able to change. You'll be able to change. Yeah. But these wealth managers, it's not like they're going to be taking on new clients when they already, this one that Mike is talking about already has 6 that she's had for years already. It has nothing to do with the RV. These are 6 clients she already has. She's not taking any more clients on. Now go ahead to your next. I just wanted to drop that. Go ahead.
No, absolutely. So I ended up meeting him first on the Zoom. We ended up discussing a lot of the questions, Wiley's questions, in terms of, who he is and what they offer. And him and his partner, they actually manage about a total of 45 people. And they manage up to $1 billion. Now, the company itself, their firm itself, they actually hold $285 billion in assets.
Wow. Okay.
So meeting with him on my first meeting with him lasted about an hour and a half. We went through all the questions, had, our preliminaries, us basically introducing each other. Our second interview, our second meeting was actually happened Thursday. We met at a coffee shop and we was there for about 3 hours. And
wow. You and Pistol's mom with these 3 hours. Good God Almighty! Go ahead, keep on.
We sat down. We started to build my brokerage account in terms of setting it up. filling in what I wanted to do for short term, midterm, and long term. You know, he's a little more aggressive than the young lady at the first tier one bank
Okay.
on the private wealth management side of her.
Okay.
So he's more aggressive. He's looking
Okay.
at, you know, trying to make as much as possible. He's a little more, he's very, very young and active in the market.
Aggressive.
So I found somebody that was a little bit more on the slower side for long term. And then I got another guy that's a little more aggressive for shorter term. That obviously we built things out for it to go long term as well, but in terms of 1 to 5, 5 to 10, and 10 to 20. I'm just trying to break out as much as we can.
Folks, what he's talking about is years, 5 to 10, 10 to 20 years of his money after he exchanged continuously growing. So he will never lose money because his money will always be growing. Like Wiley says, every dollar should have a job. So what Mike is doing, he's setting up the opportunity for after he exchanges for every dollar to have a job for years to come. He'll never go broke. Go ahead, young. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I just wanted to interject that.
No, it's okay. We actually have a follow-up meeting scheduled for Friday this week where we're going to complete the onboarding process for me to open up my account. So he's got everything all together that he needed to do. But this meeting here, where we met at the coffee shop, was really us just really getting to know each other. And you know, he's young, but he's within a group of guys where he's been offered partnered already. So he's very good at what he does. And you know, I can sit down with somebody and, you know, really kind of feel if they got their head on right. This gentleman here, I mean, he really is aggressively smart. So with us setting it up, I mean, we put up together some of the things for like if me and my kids and my wife, and you know, it's setting up, you know, where we were talking about family offices, you know, to be able to get them set up to where they be able to receive things within a trust, because he actually gave me the links for me to be able to start setting that up for my trust as well. So that way we can kind of have everything go in my name, but not in my name. So where I own everything, but I own nothing.
Yep. You control everything, but you own nothing, but you control everything.
Correct. So like I said, we did go through a lot of the information just to kind of just set things up to open up this account. That's pretty much what we got handled for about 3 hours.
That's so huge, folks. If you don't realize what he's talking about, the brokerage account, this is so that once he exchanges his funds, his currency, his money will go into this brokerage account in order for his money to grow exponentially beyond the exchanged amount. And the plans that he has, like he spoke of, where they had is short-term return on his exchanged funds, mid-term returns, and long-term. Just think, folks, have you even, as anyone, this is rhetorical, but I know many people have, thought about whatever you exchange, the amount that you're going to exchange and that you're going to have? Can you imagine? I'm going to just use a number. Let's say if it's 50 million, I'm just using that as an example. Can you imagine in years to come that 50 million is 100 million, 150 million? Or did you think you were just going to exchange, be a trillionaire and never have to be concerned about money again? Santa Claus is not coming to town with that, folks. You got to be in the mindset of reality. And what Mike and Pistol Mom just shared is reality of what you need to do to get prepared for this exchange that you and this money that you have coming. Go, young man. I just wanted to share that. Go ahead.
No, you're good. You're good. So we went over like budget expenses and, you know, things like that I'm operating with right now, you know, and it's just kind of bringing it into reality of of what's actually to come, you know, in terms of planning it out, trying to make sure I'm doing it right. Because every dollar's got to have a job.
Every dollar's got to have a job, as Wiley says. Exactly. Man,
So
that's
our
huge.
Yep. So our overview, we went through, fixed expenses,
Mhm.
we went through personal goals,
Mhm.
and he also gave me some homework too. Things that looking to get done.
I love the fact that he gave you homework. That right there is tells me that he is very motivated to reconnect with you, because that giving you homework is a task. He wants to see if you will follow up on that task, because that's what that is a test that he's giving you. It's like being in school and the teacher gives you homework. She wants to see if you're going to really follow up and follow through. That's what he's doing.
Yes, sir. Me and this gentleman here, we built a very good relationship even before this meeting. I mean, me and this
Okay.
guy and the treasury gentleman, we send information to each other on a regular basis. We have a lot of talk. So that's going into this meeting with him was very natural for me.
And it's by phone call and email, right?
Phone call and email, correct.
Rhetorical question for folks listening: have any of you had any phone calls or emails with the actual bankers who can facilitate your exchange for you and grow your wealth after you exchange your funds? That's what Mike N has done. That's what Pistol Mom has done. That's what every member here who's established their relationships has done. But what Mike is talking about, several emails and phone calls that he's established this relationship with this actual banker, is what he's done. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Mike. I just had to, man. You gave me that. You gave me an alley oop. I had to. That was an alley oop.
No, it's absolutely.
Kobe to Shaq.
Okay.
Gotta get a three-peat.
Yes.
So no, like I said, we really did kind of dig into this information in terms of what we're trying to get done. He
Okay.
gave me a good projection of what he's trying to do and what his goals are
Okay.
outside of here.
Okay.
And we really do align on this. So I feel like this is a good fit. And like I said, we've started that process and we opened it up.
Refresh my memory and everyone else here about the connection to the Treasury Department. That person who I remember that you mentioned that before. Refresh my memory.
Yes. So he's a senior market manager, treasury director for a tier 1 bank.
Gotcha.
And I met him. I ran in a random place, and me and him developed a relationship.
Yes.
And we been talking. And when I say me and him talk daily about things that's going
Wow.
on in the market, things that's going, things that are happening globally. And
Right.
he's very aware of it. So when I've been giving, when we've been talking, he's been shooting information to these other individuals that he's been wanting me to get introduced with.
Okay. So Peculiar Rand, what I see here is that being that Mike continued to establish these relationships, and I see what he's done, because as you know, Peculiar Rand, Mike, and we call him Sniper, because every single article that Goldilocks drops, this man is on it. I think he has an alert when Goldilocks drops articles, he's on it. And so he's educating himself every day with Goldilocks articles and Wiley's nuggets, and he's using that information to speak with these bankers, and is building his relationships even more to where they're connecting him to other bankers to get prepared for the exchange. Did I get that right, Mike?
Wow.
That's cool.
That knowledge, you're aligning perfectly, my brother. You're aligning perfectly. The knowledge that you're gaining and you're putting it in real life, and these relationships you're establishing, man, I look up to you. I look up to you. I look forward to your updates. You be up at like 1 a.m. hitting those fire emojis on the articles. I know you somewhere pacing, breaking them down. So, I mean, I know if anything, they're learning something from you as well. So a very mutual, beneficial relationship that you're gaining. Congratulations again.
Thank you.
Again.
Man, that's beautiful, Mike. Beautiful. And I'm glad you mentioned this, Mike, now because of how you're how you building, how you communicate with this real banker daily. Folks listening, is there anyone, just think, to be able to communicate with an action? Folks, you've heard people talk about getting text messages from a banker on Sunday after Sunday school and church for years. You've heard people talk about their high-level sources every week for years. Mike is speaking to these inside bankers daily. And if you didn't hear him say it, he just said they know what's going on. Am I right? Did I hear you correctly, Mike? And
Yes,
I heard it, but I want you to.
They've actually talked to me, and basically they confirmed a lot of things without actually saying it, because I know that they can't just come out and just start saying things. But we've actually talked, and we've had conversations that and we know what we're both talking about at the end of the day.
Right. and folks listening, that's because Mike, the sniper, has done an amazing job of establishing these relationships. That's what it all comes down to. It's not about what you know. It's not about trying to get out of the bankers what they know about the RV. It's not about trying to say buzzwords like inheritance or anything else to see if they're going to open up to talk about the RV, when if you build your relationships, establish your relationships well enough, it's going to come out that they're going to open up to you and say things without saying things.
Yep, sure will.
Correct. One thing that I say, this one thing the gentleman did say to me, a private wealth manager, in one of our messages. He says, "Look, the dollar is transitioning. It's gonna still be a dollar, but it's gonna be a different type of dollar." There's just some of the conversations that we did talk about, and just kind of explains everything that's going down the way. What we're watching.
Wow.
Can I just drop the mic now? Can I just drop the mic now?
Drop it, Freedom, drop it.
Wow.
Oh my goodness, that's amazing. I cannot wait to call my wealth manager back Monday. I actually missed a phone call from him. I was at work and he called and left me a message out of the blue. And I have to give him a call on Monday. So I'm very excited to see what,
Beautiful.
that conversation will look like. Hopefully it's like Mike's.
Yes. So the dollar will not be like, what was the exact language he used, Mike?
The dollar's not going away, but it's going to be different. It's transitioning is what he called it.
And folks, what that wealth, and this is 2 Saturdays in a row, what Mike just said is exactly the articles that we're going to go over tonight by Goldilocks, and how the RV and the currencies are going to transition, because the dollar will no longer be the dollar that you all think it is. It's transitioning, and that's exactly what Goldilocks is sharing that we're going to go over tonight.
Alignment.
Alignment. And just like last Saturday with Sparkplug's private wealth manager, who said to him that the US dollar is getting weaker, which is preparing for the other currencies to get stronger. That was last Saturday. And then here we have the sniper and his wealth manager talking about the dollar as well, and how it's transitioning. It's not going to be the same anymore. Mike, it's just amazing. 2 weekends in a row, 2 Saturday night dialogues where two different people. And Sparkplug, if you're here, raise your hand. I'm gonna acknowledge you real quick. But where the bankers on the inside last Saturday and now from Mike confirmed and are saying exactly the same thing that Goldilocks has been sharing. In fact, I see you, Sparkplug. If you can unmute, I'm not sure if you're in a place where you can talk, but I would like for you to unmute if you can, Sparkplug.
Yes, sir.
My good man, how you doing?
How you doing, brother? How you doing, family? How y'all doing?
Hi.
Excellent. Sparkplug, refresh everyone's memory on what your banker told you that you shared last Saturday, the same thing that Goldilocks said about the dollar getting weaker. And then, Mike, I'm going to ask you to repeat what you just said from your banker. Go ahead, Sparkplug.
when I explained to her that I feel that my mentor had told her I got the investment from my papa, he told me to pay attention to it. He said, "Yeah, there's something to that." She said, "Yeah, because she said the dollar's getting weaker, and as the dollar gets weaker, foreign currency will indeed get stronger."
Boom.
That's what she said.
And was that a private wealth manager or at a tier one? I forget which one. It doesn't matter. I'm just asking. Just
The tier one, but
tier
you
one.
know the private side, private bank, private side.
The private side of the. Okay, got it. Thank you, beloved. Appreciate it.
Yes.
And we're going
Yes,
to get even more about that spark plug here tonight. So hold on. Now, Mike N, you come on back and take the mic. Mike N, Sniper. Now tell everyone what your wealth manager told you. Go ahead.
He said that the dollar is transitioning. It's not gonna be what it once was, but it's going to move in a new way. It's basically what he said. Yeah.
Peculiar Ram. So we have Sparkplug last week with his wealth manager and Mike in today with his wealth manager saying the same thing in a different way about what Goldilocks has been saying all along of how currencies will go up in value. Right or wrong?
You're correct. That's incredible.
And we're going to go into it tonight. All right. Mike in, as always, Sniper. Thank you, beloved. We appreciate you for sharing this amazing update. Thank you so much. Yes,
Absolutely.
sir. Thank you so much. Yes, sir. All right, hold tight. Folks, real quick, before we get into these articles, I just thought about something.
Wow.
And it's amazing. You already seen the articles tonight, Peculiar Rev, so you know what Mike N just said and what Sparkplug just said is what Goldilocks has been saying all along, and even more proof that Goldilocks is sharing tonight of how the currencies will go up because of the dollar getting weaker. Now, receipts. I just thought about this is a story, and this is very, very it's related to everything here, folks. I remember hearing a story years ago. You all know that South Africa has diamonds and gold. That's where diamonds and gold are mined in South Africa. And I remember hearing a story about a man in South Africa who was riding his horse down a dirt road in South Africa. There were these young children, these poor children that were on the side of the road playing with these marbles. And so they're on the side of the road playing with these marbles, and this man on the horse gets to the border of the town. He sees these children playing with these marbles on the side of the road, and he looked down and he says, "Hey, y'all, what are y'all doing?" The kid says, "Oh, we're just playing with marbles." And they're just kicking the marbles around, playing this little game, what they thought were marbles. So the man on the horse, he jumps down off the horse and says, "Kids, what are y'all doing playing a little game on the side of the road?" And they're like, "Sir, we're just playing with these marbles." So the man looks real close and he asked the children, he says, "Hey, can I have those marbles?" The kids were like, "Yeah, sure. We'll go try to see if we can find some more out in the desert." So the man gets his satchel off the horse, reaches down and picks up the marbles and puts them in his satchel. He gets on his horse and he rides off. In the reality, the man realized there weren't marbles that the kids were playing with. Those kids were playing with diamonds. And these diamonds, this man knew what they really were. He knew they weren't marbles, but he knew that they were diamonds. And because they were diamonds, he was able to change his life forever. Moral of the story is to know what you hold, ladies and gentlemen. Many of you are holding what you think are diamonds, but they're actually marbles. They're worthless. And then there are those that know because of ISO 4217, where there are certain assets and currencies that are registered within the international banking system, then you know when it's time to revalue that you're going to be wealthy. It's going to change your life. Many of you don't know what you hold because you were told by whoever. And you have these people, these intel providers, saying the same thing about certain assets that you think have value, but they don't. I hope that many of you learn to know what you hold. You can come into the Goldilocks QFS Dialogues room. We will share how you can find out what you hold. And we will share how you will be able to establish relationships like you heard Mike in his real boots on the ground in the banks. And Pistol's mom and others, Peculiar Ram and others who have real relationships, who are exchanging emails and phone calls, luncheons and dinners. Peculiar Ram met with her private banker at a nail salon at the mall. People that are folks, have you even met the people who you are expecting an email notification from? Have you gotten a phone call? And you really expect to take your currencies and or your quote unquote bonds somewhere to redeem them or exchange the currency, and you haven't even spoken to the people because they're a secret? But this is a global event. You just heard Mike N's wealth manager tell him the dollar will not be the same. It's in the transition. You heard Sparkplug tell you directly from his wealth manager last Saturday that the dollar's getting weaker, so therefore all the other currencies are getting stronger and will revalue. But they're getting this directly from the bankers. What communications have you had? From who? Someone on the internet telling you every week that it's happening? And they have the contacts and the resources, and you have really put your whole investment into someone that you have never met on the internet, who has supposedly contacts with bankers and high-level sources. But here you have real people that have exchanged emails, phone calls, established Pistol's mom told you that she could tell you, her private wealth manager, what kind of dogs he like, how many children he has. Peculiar Ram, her wealth manager brought his daughter. Was she 9 years old?
No, they're 13.
Twins.
Yep.
Brought his twins to meet with her.
Our daughters met.
Her children met the wealth manager's children. She met her wealth manager's children. Folks, you haven't even met a banker who supposedly is going to exchange your currency? You have the opportunity to turn that around. And speaking of marbles, if you think that you're going to all of a sudden get an email notification from some spooky place, you done lost your marbles. All right, let's get into these articles, young lady. You lost your marbles, folks. We better wake on up.
Yeah.
I hope if I hurt some feelings with that, that's my intentions. It's tough love. Now let's get into exactly what Mike N's banker just spoke to him about. Sparkplug as well, and what Goldilocks has been preparing us and sharing with us about how the currencies will revalue, how you will be able to step into your wealth that you so desire. Let's jump right into it. All right. Young lady, listen, you can get on this. You can do this whole entire one. Thank you, young lady.
All right. When reciprocal trade negotiations conclude, New tariffs or trade measures are typically implemented by individual countries, and their effects on exchange rates can be observed and analyzed.
1 second, beloved. This is actually the right on the precipice at the beginning of what Goldilocks is stating about it, confirming exactly what Mike N's private banker told him and Sparkplug about currencies. When reciprocal trade negotiations conclude, Goldilocks is stating, new tariffs or trade measures are typically implemented by individual countries. That's the countries for the currency that many of us hold. And their effects on exchange rates can be observed and analyzed. Well, how does this affect the dollar? Folks, because these countries and these new tariffs and these new agreements, many of these countries historically have been utilizing the US dollar in their trade, in the transactions. But as a result, because they've been manipulating, like, for example, Vietnam, they've been manipulating the value of the Vietnamese dong historically and not using the US dollar. So therefore, and using the US dollar, not using the dong. But most of these countries, same thing. But as through these tariff agreements, these trade negotiations, this is why Goldilocks coined the phrase "watch the water," because now these countries will be moving to utilize their own currencies in trade. Billions and billions and billions daily. They will use their own currencies, not the US dollar anymore. This is the confirmation of what Mike N's banker, the sniper, and also Sparkplug's banker told him, how the dollar will be getting weak and the dollar will be transitioning. This is what Goldilocks has been stating. Now let's go into elaboration by Goldilocks. WTO, World Trade Organization. Go ahead.
The WTO focuses on establishing rules and regulations for international trade, including tariff commitments and trade agreements. It does not directly calculate or implement new tariffs or measures. Reciprocal tariffs. Reciprocal tariffs are calculated by individual countries to address trade imbalances or perceived unfairness in trade relationships. They are not necessarily within the WTO's scope of regulation. Exchange rate impact. While new tariffs may affect exchange rates, it's not a direct result of the WTO calculations. The impact on exchange rates depends on various factors, including the size and nature of the tariffs, the affected countries, and the overall economic landscape. New trade measures can indirectly influence exchange rates through changes in trade flows, investment, and capital movements. These impacts are observed and analyzed by economists and policymakers. Watch the water.
Watch the water. New trade measures can indirectly influence exchange rates through changes in trade flows, investment, and capital movements. These impacts are observed and analyzed by economists and policymakers. What Goldilocks is sharing here, folks, is that as a result of these global changes for tariffs are taxes on trade. When countries trade goods back and forth, and we're about to go into what Vietnam is doing with this, because they just came to the United States this week, and what Vietnam is doing in preparing the Vietnamese dong to get stronger. What these countries are doing is they're moving away from the US dollar, because the US dollar is getting weaker. The US dollar is getting weaker because these countries are now moving to utilize their own currencies and trade on the water. How are they able to do that? All through the new digital banking system whereby the shift begins after July 1st. All of these countries have been getting prepared. These tariffs that President Trump imposed on these countries so that they all rushed to the table to negotiate. No coincidence that he put the tariffs on these countries, and what to the negotiations had to be complete by the beginning of July. All orchestrated. Okay, young lady, let's get into the next one, the very first paragraph.
Okay. Recent developments suggest Vietnam is actively negotiating with the U.S. to avoid steep tariffs, with reports indicating Vietnam has offered to reduce tariffs on U.S. imports to zero in response to a threatened 46% U.S. tariff on Vietnamese goods. These negotiations, ongoing as of May 2025, aim to address the significant trade imbalance. Vietnam had a $123 billion trade surplus with the U.S. in 2023 and secure a free trade agreement before the U.S.'s 90-day tariff pause expires in early July 2025.
That's it right there. The July, that's the end. That's when the deadline for Trump wants these agreements to be made. So for those that aren't aware, the trade imbalance, 123 billion Vietnam made in trade with the U.S. The U.S. lost 123 billion. This is not funny.
Wow.
It's not funny, but you would like to be Vietnam and that side of the deal. So Trump is saying no mas, no more, not having it. So we're going to hit you with these tariffs, these taxes, Vietnam and almost 80 other countries. So Vietnam and all those other countries came running to the table with President Trump saying, okay. And please don't hit us with these tariffs. We promise to not manipulate our currency anymore. We promise to open up our borders to allow United States manufacturers to come into our country, to do trade with us, to import goods into our country. Yeah, we import a lot of our goods into the United States because United States is our number one trade partner. But we have not, meaning we Vietnam, historically for the last 5 decades, we won't allow no U.S. companies to come import goods into our country. You're not going to come into our country and damage our culture, our social communist culture. Well, we're about to find out how things have changed so quick with Trump threatening these tariffs on Vietnam. Just this week, last Saturday, Vietnam came to the United States. They made a first stop in Iowa because it's the agricultural capital of the U.S. Then they stopped in Ohio. Then they went to D.C. and they signed contracts. We're going to actually, the first link that Goldilocks shared, we're going to touch on that. Here's the proof. Here's the receipts. If you can read this screenshot, first screenshot, beloved, I appreciate it.
Okay. The title reads, go ahead.
Yeah. I was about to ask you to read that. Go ahead.
Mm-hmm. A Vietnamese delegation is visiting the U.S. to strengthen bilateral trade relations and explore opportunities to expand imports of U.S. agroforestry fishery products in a move to balance bilateral trade.
Now remember the imbalance: 123 billion that Vietnam made off of us, and 123 billion the U.S. lost. That's imbalance. The first paragraph, the first title it says from Vietnam is now they want to move to balance bilateral trade. So now, folks, this is the equilibrium that President Trump said years ago when he was asked by the journalist, "What are you going to do, President Trump, to attack the devaluation of currencies?" He said, "We're going to level the playing field." Leveling the playing field, folks, is to balance the playing field. This is what now the tariffs is forcing countries to come to the table to balance out the trade. Where's trade done? On the water. Now let's get, that first paragraph, if you don't mind, young lady. Minister of Agriculture from Vietnam. You don't have to butcher the name. Just do your best.
Minister of Agriculture and Environment. I'm going to call him DDD. That sounds cool.
Okay.
DDD is leading a delegation of nearly 50 representatives from Vietnamese government agencies.
50 representatives from Vietnamese government agencies came to the United States. Go ahead.
Businesses and agricultural associations to the U.S. from June 1st to the 7th, with stops planned in Iowa, Ohio, and Washington, D.C.
Last Saturday was the 1st. Today is the 7th. They're
Wow.
just now finishing up a week long of negotiation. Not only folks, the third round, we know that Vietnam and the U.S. had 2 rounds of negotiations with the U.S. regarding tariffs. The third round, they're expected to begin by the end of this week coming. So what they've done is they said, look, we better hurry up and get to the United States. Let's go to Iowa. Let's go to Ohio. Let's go to let's get these. I shouldn't have said that, but I did. But I could. And to get these deals, contracts signed, so that we can prepare for these negotiations for the third round. Now, if you could read the next screenshot.
Yes.
This is also showing some of the deals, the contracts that what this is where Vietnam is opening their country to U.S. manufacturers to come into Vietnam to import goods into Vietnam. This is historical. They've never done this before. They don't want U.S. They didn't want U.S. in their country. They wanted to continue manipulating the dong. And what this does, with all this coming into Vietnam, this not just the United States, but other countries as well, private companies as well. In fact, you'll recall, Vietnam, they changed their laws, their constitution, to now allow private sector people to come in, businesses to come in. This is why a few weeks ago, President Trump's own company, personal company, broke ground on a $1.5 billion private project in Vietnam. Vietnam changed their constitution to allow this to happen. Now, why is it so relevant and important to the Vietnamese dong? Because as these countries, these companies, and these countries come into Vietnam to do business with Vietnam and import into Vietnam, they will settle all of these transactions in the Vietnamese dong, no longer in the U.S. dollar, because the U.S. dollar, this is the shift, the transition that Mike N's private wealth manager told him about. This is why the U.S. dollar will be getting weaker, because like Sparkplug's wealth manager told him, because countries around the world are not going to be utilizing the U.S. dollar as much in trade. They're going to use their own currencies. Supply and demand is what raises the value of a country's currency and exchange rate. So as these countries utilize their own currencies in these new trade deals, the demand for their currency goes up and the supply goes up and the exchange rates go up. But if they just continue to just utilize the U.S. dollar in trade, the U.S. dollar just stays strong at $1.
Yeah.
And they don't use their own currencies. So their own currency stays weak. That's changing. This next one, beloved, appreciate it.
Yes.
$2
billion $2 billion Vietnam trade pact with U.S. agribusiness set to boost Ohio farmers.
Agribusiness, folks, is agricultural business, agribusiness.
Mm-hmm.
Boost Ohio farmers. Go ahead.
A delegation from the Vietnamese government and business community, led by HEDDD, Minister of Agriculture and Environment, visited Ohio this week to sign a series of memoranda of understanding with the U.S. agricultural companies. The Columbus stop is part of a multi-state mission that began in Iowa on Monday, June 2nd, 2025. In total, the Vietnamese delegation is expected to enter into agreements to purchase more than $2 billion in U.S. agricultural products, including corn, soybeans, distillers' dried grains with solubles, wheat, meat, and timber.
Mm-hmm.
You want me to keep going?
Yes, you can. Yeah, you can, as far as you can go before it's cut off.
Today's event signals a new chapter in trade relations between the U.S. and Vietnam, underscoring a new chapter in trade
What?
relations. A
Mm-hmm.
new chapter. They're getting back together, y'all, on good terms, the right way, y'all.
Mm-hmm.
Underscoring Ohio's role as a key partner, Vietnam chose Ohio because of its strong agricultural sector, modern infrastructure, and history of innovation in food and commodity production.
So the farmers in Ohio, and also they just did this in Iowa. They signed $600 million deal in Iowa with the farmers in agriculture. So now the farmers in Iowa will import agricultural goods into Vietnam. Never done before in history. They
Wow.
just came. Then they came to Ohio to do the same thing. Ohio farmers will be able to import. This is import export. This is all a part of the tariffs. This is trade, folks. This is trade for the first time. In a new chapter. And I heard Peculiar Ram make a little slip and call it a nude chapter. It's a new chapter. Get it right. I heard that. I caught that.
All right, Vietnam and U.S.
New chapter in the Vietnam-U.S. trade negotiating relationship. So, folks, this is the first time that the Vietnam has allowed the United States to come on into Vietnam to import. So now just think, these farmers, all these goods, these products, wheat, corn, timber, so forth and so on. All of this will be transacted in Vietnam in the Vietnamese dong.
Wow.
This is why you have to understand how the RV will occur, how the exchange rates go up. When the U.S. dollar goes down and its demand and its weakness, the other currencies go up. Now, I just shared another article into the room real quick. I know this is spur of the moment, but this is on the same lines. If you can read that one, beloved, I appreciate it as well. This is good. This is a nude chapter. Go ahead.
Okay. Let's see. Okay. You want me to start there? Minister of Agriculture?
Yes, please. And it shows you the picture with Vietnam on one side and the U.S. on the other side of the table. Signing contracts. Oh, and that's last screenshot that you just read. So for folks out in YouTube and all the world where there are these agreements, the new chapter when Vietnam is here is here in the United States. What's the date of that article?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm kind of distracted. I have a pop-up on this page that I just opened up, and he won't hush.
Okay.
Is it the June 3rd, 2025? Is that what we're talking about?
That's the It's right in the screenshot, right in the room. You just read it.
Oh, June 7th.
What's today's date?
It is June 7th.
Boom. Yep. This came out today. All right. So now, let's get to this next one. A Vietnamese delegation is visiting the U.S. to strengthen bilateral trade.
Okay, give me 1 second. For some reason, the link is not working for me.
Don't worry. If you want me to do it, I can read it.
If you could, it's keep telling me that I don't have permission or something like that. I don't know.
Don't worry. I got it. Minister of Agriculture. This is a continuation of what you just read. The Minister of Agriculture and Environment, DDD, is leading a delegation of nearly 50 representatives from Vietnam to visit the U.S. This visit aims to strengthen bilateral trade relations and explore opportunities to expand imports of U.S. agricultural, forestry, fishery products in a move to balance bilateral trade. This is the equilibrium that Trump said he wanted to bring. Alongside their procurement efforts, Vietnamese businesses are also looking to acquire sci-tech solutions to enhance the agricultural value chain. Minister Dai noted that while both Vietnam and the U.S. have strengths in agriculture, their products complement rather than compete directly with each other. He stressed that the active engagement from both governments, meaning the U.S. and Vietnam, the country's farming sectors are becoming increasingly interconnected, sharing supply chains, enhancing competitiveness, and ultimately benefiting producers and consumers alike. Vietnamese businesses are strongly supporting the government's efforts by increasing imports of key American agricultural products. So now they're opening Vietnam. This will help to strengthen the dong, helping to balance bilateral trade, strengthening the integration of the two countries' agricultural supply chains, and ensuring global food security. So, folks, they're connecting the U.S. agricultural farmland to Vietnam for more imports to go into Vietnam from the United States, but not just more, for the first time. Never done. This is a new chapter in the Vietnam-U.S. relations, trade relations. They make sure they got this done before they go to the table for the third round of negotiations with the Trump administration by the end of next week. They know exactly what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
They want to make sure that they be on the good side of Trump and not the bad side of these tariff negotiations. All right. Now, speaking of weakening dollar, strengthening of foreign currencies, for which the currencies that many of us hold. Let's get right into this one, young lady.
Okay, the first and last paragraph, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. A weaker U.S. dollar generally leads to a revaluation of foreign currency exchange rates, causing foreign currencies.
Can you repeat that one more time?
A weaker U.S. dollar. Okay, spark plug. Okay, Mike. A weaker U.S. dollar generally leads to a revaluation of foreign currency exchange rates, causing foreign currencies to appreciate relative to the dollar.
Mm-hmm.
This means, in conclusion, a weaker U.S.
dollar.
dollar.
Sorry, you're right. This means and then conclusion.
Okay.
I'm sorry. You're right.
This means it takes more dollars to purchase the same amount of a foreign currency, effectively increasing the price of that currency in dollar terms.
Mm-hmm.
This occurs due to supply and demand dynamics in foreign exchange markets, influenced by factors such as interest rates, trade policies, economic performance, and investor sentiment.
Mm-hmm.
In conclusion, a weaker U.S. dollar directly contributes to the revaluation of foreign currency exchange rates, making foreign currencies more expensive in dollar terms. This is supported.
One more time. That sentence. That first sentence right there. Go ahead.
A weaker U.S. dollar directly contributes to the revaluation of foreign currency exchange rates, making foreign currencies more expensive in dollar terms. This is supported by recent market data and analysis, which shows currencies like the euro and yen appreciating as the dollar declines due to economic and policy factors. I've actually been watching it in the market. It has been.
Oh, okay. And beautiful. And folks, if you want to see where Goldilocks has gotten this from, Goldilocks shared the links to show you if you want to take time to read the conclusion and the determination and analysis of how the U.S. dollar gets weaker, other currencies go up. The links, the receipts is right there for you to click on in your own time and see where Goldilocks is getting the data from. This is not opinion. This is not this is not Goldilocks's gut feeling.
What? You sound like the Joker.
We have people out there in Denarland that tell you what their gut is telling them.
Oh my gosh, yes.
And their gut is full of trash.
Guru foo-foo weasel meat. That's what it's full up with.
All their opinions. This is not opinions. This is actual data, folks. Whereby you have real people that you just heard from, like Mike and Sparkplug, that their high-level sources in the banks confirm exactly what Goldilocks has been sharing about how currency exchange rates go up in value. The cause and effect of the U.S. dollar getting weaker. Okay, young lady. Now, the next is that I just shared. The dollar is about to become weaker. And then the one below that, we'll be good to go.
The dollar is about to become weaker to allow other currencies around the world to grow stronger in trade. This will change exchange rates to our favor. It will create a desire for banks in the US to hold foreign currency reserves, as they will create value for each bank going forward.
I'm gonna read that one more time. It will create a desire for banks in the U.S. to hold foreign currency reserves, as they will create value for each bank going forward. Folks, this is another way how banks around the world are preparing for the shift. They're preparing for the rates to go up, specifically the U.S. The U.S. has foreign currency in reserves of many countries, foreign currencies of which many of us hold. A part of the Basel III requirements is to have an adequate amount of capital, meaning money, in the banks, gold in the banks, and foreign currency reserves. Now, when the foreign currency reserves that these banks have, what do you think is going to happen when the RV of when these currencies go up in value? And these reserves, these banks have these currencies in reserve. It brings profit to the banks. Just think, a requirement for Basel III is to have adequate foreign currency reserves, gold, and other assets, such as also XRP as well. I don't want to forget that. But in capital requirements, the banks are being set up for success.
Mm-hmm.
And for those of us that have foreign currencies, you set yourself up for success. Now let's get to the next one, young lady. We're good to go.
As we approach July 1st, 2025, please be aware that this day is a crossover date into the new financial system under Basel III compliance. You will notice several changes between now and then inside the marketplace. Assets will be looking for new price actions and new value, as the value of gold is written into new ledger reports inside the banking system. Volatility is expected along with chaotic patterns, and voices will jump to many conclusions. Just know there will be many new numbers factored into this new system. When the dust settles, we will see credit valuation adjustments across every sector of the market begin to form.
Mm-hmm.
Many new trade negotiation adjustments will be bidding for their new placements inside of the new financial instruments, springing forth and into new chart formations going forward.
Mm-hmm.
June and July are transitional months for us, depending on which side of a trade you find yourself. By the end of July, things are going to look much different.
This is almost word for word, but from Mike N's banker, about how the dollar is transitioning. It's not going to be the same. And this is exactly what Cody.
Wow.
Mike N, Sparkplug, and Pistols Mom, if you all can unmute.
It makes you think, how could it have ever happened before now?
Right, exactly. There's no way possible.
I don't see how we were able to RV before now. Oh,
every
my God.
week, every Friday for the last 20 years.
Oh, my God. Their staff have been in preparation for 10 years.
Yeah.
Staff on standby. Poor staff.
Right. Pistol's mom, are you still here? If not, I don't see you. Mike N. I'm gonna come to you, Sparkplug. Mike N. What you just, and I know you saw all of this, when Goldilocks dropped it throughout the week, but because you're the sniper. But does this exactly what your wealth manager told you?
Yes, it is.
What do you
saying? The idea that the currencies are changing as we know it. is putting into the idea that dollar's not going to be the only big dog on the scene.
That's right.
And what they're doing is, the transition of how they're going to move it and do it. It's not going to be the same.
And folks, the dollar must get weaker, so the foreign currencies we hold get stronger, because in the globe, throughout the world, the U.S. dollar, like Mike just said, has been the big dog on campus. These other countries have been using the U.S. dollar in their countries for trade, billions a day. So no, Vietnam not using the dong for trade. Iraq not using the dinar. All these countries, they've been using the U.S. dollar. That's why the U.S. dollar has been the strongest currency in the world. But now it's with the forcing of the tariff negotiation, the new trade deals, is forcing these countries to stop using the U.S. dollar and use their own currencies. It's just really a force. It's they have no choice unless they want to bankrupt their countries. They're not going to do that.
It's inevitable.
Mm-hmm. Inevitable.
Wow.
So when you have, for example, like Vietnam, you're hearing tonight, Mike and others, where Vietnam cutting these deals to bring U.S. farm goods and products into Vietnam. They changed their constitution in order to allow other countries to come in to do business in Vietnam, which these transactions will be done in the Vietnamese dong. As a matter of fact, I was reading an article earlier from Vietnam where in the first quarter of this year, Vietnam has made history, and after they changed their constitution, where over 15,000 new foreign businesses have registered to do business in Vietnam. 15,000.
Wow.
Because these businesses, they saw what Vietnam was doing with their constitution and preparing to change, so that now these these businesses are flocking. See, no coincidence that President Trump's personal company broke ground. Trump was ahead of the game.
I'm sure he was about first.
Way ahead than everyone else. So Spark Plug, if you can unmute, my good man.
Yes, sir.
Is what you heard tonight, is this in line with what your banker said to you?
Man, stop. Coach, just put me in the game. Thank you, Coach. I'm practicing enough. Coach, put me in the game, Coach. It's game time, Coach. Wow. Goosebumps. Put me in the game, Coach. Put me in the game.
Exciting. Oh, my goodness.
Exactly what your banker said to you is what Goldilocks is showing in black and white.
It's goosebumps, man. I mean, stop. I'm quiet. I'm quiet. I'm good. Put me in the game, Coach. I'm ready.
But just peculiar, man, when you think about this, where when you have our fellow tribe members who are going out and establishing their relationships the way that we've encouraged them, have shown everyone to do, and then for the actual bankers to communicate with people, with our members, and it aligns of how the currencies will go up in value, how the RV is actually done, exactly how Goldilocks has been saying it will be done.
Yes. Receipts after receipts. And it's literally the members. You guys are the receipts.
Mm-hmm.
We are the receipts. So it's like, how can you deny it? It's right there in our face every day from the members coming in, telling us what's going on, what their bankers are saying. We're learning stuff too. And we're learning that these people know exactly what's going on.
And you yourself and your meeting with your banker.
Yes.
And I know there's some stuff that you go ahead. You share what you want to share. Go ahead.
It was just very powerful, very, very powerful. We have talked twice since then. So I have, some small updates to share within the group next week. I'll do that. But I mean, he's basically, in so many words, saying the exact same thing the other bankers and the other wealth managers are saying. When they're looking at, part of their job is also looking at what's happening. They know, and you are so right when you say about establishing those relationships, getting that foundation set, and within time, they will start to open up little by little because things are happening rapidly within the world. So it's like they're on board. They know what's
Right.
going on. So I mean, my wealth manager personally, I mean, I already told you what his plan is. His wife holds foreign currency, so I know. We have very, very interesting conversations now that we have kind of broke the barrier. Again, I've been talking to him since before the new year. For anybody new, so that's why we're able to talk like that. But yeah, for the most part, the transition is happening,
It's happening.
and they know
Exactly. And they
it's
know. Yeah.
happening right now.
And for those of you that, okay, go ahead, Sparkle up.
Right fast, and I'm gonna update you guys this week. But
Okay.
I spoke to another wealth manager. He sent me. Yeah, we went back and forth, a full conversation. But he said, "I'm gonna send you a bio breakdown of everything we offer." And I just want to tell you, 7 out of 8 wallet questions was in there. What you need to ask of a wealth manager. But that's all I want to say. Love y'all. Good
All right,
night.
much love, much
Wow.
love,
How you
much
gonna do that
love.
and then drop off?
Right?
Wow.
Yeah. Pistol's mom, I see you're back. If you can unmute, I'm not sure we lost you. Then you're back. There you go.
Can you hear me? Yeah.
We can hear you now, young lady.
Let me put my on. Okay. Can
There
you hear
you
me?
go. We can hear you. We can hear you.
Now I can hear.
Yes.
Yeah, I had to call. We're on baby watch, so I was
Okay.
checking with
Okay.
my sister. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. I wasn't sure if you were able to listen into on the articles, and then also to listen in, if you were able to listen in to where Mike In and Spark Plug, both their individual wealth managers, told them how the RV will occur, how it's
Yeah.
done, and Goldilocks' articles saying the same thing. I don't know if you caught that.
Yeah. Yes, I did. I did.
Okay. What's your
And
thoughts on that? What's your thoughts on that? Share it.
I had read Goldilocks' article before it came on tonight, so I knew what you were talking about. That's why I thought I got to call my sister. But it makes sense when the dollar goes down, their prices are going to come up. And another thing that you kind of put it together, okay? If you start paying another company with their own currency, then these banks are going to be holding the currency that's going to be buying the products from that company.
Exactly.
So from that country. So it's
that country. Yeah.
They want our currency that we're holding now to facilitate trade.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Because it's more profit for them because their currencies are more in demand. And then on top of that, a part of the Basel III in-game requirements is for the U.S. banks to hold, not just the U.S. banks, all banks, to hold an adequate amount of foreign currency in their reserves.
Yes. Yes.
So when those currencies go up in value, the balance sheet for those banks go up. More profit for them.
Yes, and it's
win-win.
And the conference call that I had was with the private bank side of the Tier 1. So I don't know if I got that across or not. I thought, I was on the private bank side of the Tier 1 bank.
That's fine. So, that was the same thing with Mike In. Same thing.
Yep. Yeah.
It's the private side of the Tier 1. You're fine. You're just beautiful.
Yeah.
Man. So, beautiful.
And I thought of one other thing. We have been talking about offshore trusts and different things like that in the room this past week. And this was after, and my friend and I were sitting out on the patio. There's nobody else around there, and I'm going, I'm thinking about offshore trust, and her hay guy, the guy she gets hay from, has the offshore trust. I went, what?
He's taking advantage of all the tax incentives
And I'm
and
thinking,
tax
okay,
exemption he can.
right. And not only that,
Mhm.
but that is a personal contact that I can go say, how did you do this?
Oh yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. I'm
You
glad
know?
you said that. I'm glad you said that, Pistol Mom. Because just think about this, Pistol Mom in Peculiar Ram.
Hmm.
Imagine how many people are just expecting to get a notification, whatever, just whatever, when it's time to go exchange, and they have no structure for tax mitigation, no structure for anything. In fact, you have people that believe that this is not even a taxable event because of what the gurus told them. But meanwhile, you can prepare yourselves by establishing your relationships and getting tax structures in place to make sure you pay as little as possible
Hmm.
legally.
Hmm. Yes.
So why
Yes.
not get prepared?
And
Why
that's
not?
one of the things that we've discussed is, you figure out what your taxes are going to be on this, and you can actually decrease your tax bill
Mm-hmm.
by by where you
Maneuvering.
put maneuvering your money around.
Hmm.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, and
Yep.
these guys know how to do it. You don't have to do
Yep.
it. Let them do what they know how to do, and you sit
Yep.
here and learn.
That's it.
And
Exactly.
it's like shut your mouth and listen.
Exactly. That's it. That's it. That's
You know,
it.
let
That's it.
trust your advisors that you know building the relationship and establishing trust with them to where you know that they know what they're doing
Mm-hmm.
and that you can learn from them.
Mm-hmm.
But also, if you, well, just like that one deal, no, homestead your house. I don't want to homestead my house.
Mm-hmm.
I
Right.
think we had this conversation in the room.
In the room.
I
Mm-hmm.
homestead it. I want to put it in its own deal, and then I want to rent the house back, and I get the tax depreciation, which will be more than my
Exactly.
homestead deal.
Ex-
You know,
exactly.
but it's
Exactly.
like they're going,
Beautiful.
that everybody kind of went,
Beautiful. Beautiful.
so
Thank you so much, Pistol Mom, for sharing tonight your love. Spark Plug, thank you, Mike, and of course Sniper. Thank you, Peculiar Ram. As always, thank you, beloved.
No.
Anything you wanna share to take us out?
okay. Can I say one more thing?
Go ahead.
I'm thinking, Wiley always stresses how important networking is,
Uh-huh.
and Mike
Hmm.
N is the king of networking.
He
You
sure
know,
Yes.
is.
Yes.
He is.
he's up there with the sniper rifle going, boom, got that one, boom, got that
Yeah.
one.
Right? We got you too. You got your pistol. He got his sniper rifle. Y'all
Yeah,
both popping on
yeah. Mike is setting up his players on his chess game. I'm telling
Yeah,
you,
Yeah.
he got them set up
Yeah.
yeah.
nicely.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So
So
true. Yeah.
anyway,
Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. All right. Peculiar Rand, you good? Good to go?
I am good. This was
All right.
excited. I was grinning from like ear to ear to see how everything, and it seems like lately everything is aligning more and more with
Mm-hmm.
the members' testimonials
Mm-hmm.
and the global,
That's right.
everything that's happened globally. It just, have you
That's right.
noticed that it's just been
Yes.
aligning almost like
Yep.
effortlessly, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
We're in such a good
Yeah.
space.
It is. It's beautiful. So amazing. So amazing.
Yeah.
All right, beautiful folks. Thank you all for sharing and caring tonight. Thank you for all the inspirational updates and stories. And thank you all for participating. Everyone have a good night. Be well. Have a safe and blessed weekend. We love you. Everyone have a good night. Take care.
Good night.
Ciao, ciao. All right.
Hello, beautiful people. This is Freedom Fighter. Thank you for tuning into our channel, Goldilocks Global Banking News. Everybody knows that Goldilocks is the number one source for the RVGCR. People from around the world tune in to see what Goldilocks is sharing on the RVGCR. Don't miss your chance and get your latest updates every day. So like, share, and subscribe to this channel to get your daily podcast from the Goldilocks articles on the RVGCR. GCR. Brought to you by Freedom Fighter.